Good morning, everyone. Our topic for today is all about phosphorus cycle, and here's how phosphorus circulates through its cycle. And we focus in the terrestrial and aquatic environments. So, terrestrial environments refers to the land-based ecosystems like forests and grasslands, where phosphorus moves through soil, plants, and animals, primarily through the breakdown of organic matter from dead organisms. In the other words, aquatic environments refers to the water bodies like lakes, rivers, and oceans, where phosphorus cycles through dissolved forms in the water column and interacts with sediment on the bottom, primarily being taken up by aquatic plants like algae and moving through the food chain of aquatic organisms. So, phosphorus cycle is the biogeochemical cycle that describes the movement of phosphorus through the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. Unlike the other cycles, it does not include a gaseous phase and primarily occurs in soil, water, and living organisms. Phosphorus is needed to make DNA nucleotides, phosphate group, ATP, circular energy, and the phospholipids outer boundary of cells. And this is the essential for DNA, RNA, and TPA in living organisms. Critical for plant growth and agricultural productivity, and maintains ecosystem balance through the nutrient cycling, and they support the aquatic and terrestrial foods webs. That is the phosphorus cycle at the image, and sabi ko nga kanina that does not include the atmosphere because very little phosphorus circulates through the atmosphere as gas. So there are the cycle. We have the weathering of rocks, absorption by plants and animals, decomposition, sedimentation, and the uplift and exposure. And the first one is the weathering of rocks. This is the containing phosphate minerals in the main way that phosphorus enters the cycle. Phosphate ions are released by this mechanism into the water and the soil, as you can see at the image. The second one is the absorption by plants and animals. That can be absorbed by plants, fungus, and microbes and used by them for growth once they are in the soil. A portion of it also finds its ways into freshwater bodies of water, such as the ocean, where it is drunk by animals and absorbed by plants along with the phosphorus. The phosphorus enters the animals when they eat the vegetation. And next, the decomposition. Decomposition, such as bacteria and fungus, break down the organic matter left behind by death and animals. From that way, plants and animals, kapag sila'y namatay, pwede silang ma-decompose. So we have the two types of fertilizer, organic and inorganic, returning phosphorus to the soil in the form of inorganic phosphate. And the next is sedimentation. When phosphorus-containing compounds from the bodies of waste of marine organisms like sink the floor of the ocean, they form new sedimentary layers. Over long periods of time, phosphorus-containing sedimentary rock be removed from the ocean to the land by geological process called uplift. And the last one is the uplift and exposure. Geological process such as tectonic uplift can expose these phosphate-rich sediments at the Earth's surface where they can again be weathered, continuing the cycle. So this is the image occurrence of the algal bloom in Laguna de Bay. As you can see, iba talaga yung kanyang tubig. And the concentration level of phosphate in Laguna de Bay and its major tributaries by station. So we have the 2012 to 2022. So next, mass coral bleaching in Talim Bay, Lian, Batangas. And there are three components to rehabilitation. Number one, to control. The second one is to restoration. And the third one is the catch management. And that is the migration strategies, action to reduce or eliminate. The first one is to control. Dapat kontrolado lang ang ating mga ginagawa. And the second one is to restoration. Kung alam na natin nasira, we need to restore in order for us to maging maganda ulit. And the third one is the catchment management. So of course, we need to manage para maging maganda at malinis. So there are three common methods. We have the chemical methods, physical methods, and the biological methods. And we have the advantage from the chemical methods, rapid, direct, and the simple. Sa physical naman, we have the simply and easy. And the biological methods, economical, completely less secondary pollution, less harmful environmental impact, pollutant concentration can be effectively reduced, sustainable. And we have also the disadvantage from the chemical methods, costly, incomplete, not suitable for long-term treatment, secondary pollution. And the physical methods, costly, the temporary, incomplete, or the obvious effect in the short-term side effects. And the third one is the biological methods, the long period time, higher maintenance cost, suitable for relatively small watersheds. And now we have the strategy restoration. We need to restore our environment in order para maging maganda ang ating kalikasan. So we have the deep aeration. This is the mechanical method in the O2 injection steering. So we have the methods, flushing and dilution, deep aeration, sediment dredging, and the last one is the algae removal. In the ecological impact, we have the inconspicuous from the flushing and dilution. From the deep aeration naman, we have the little impact on overall water quality, the increasing the density of fish and zooplankton. And the third one is the sediment dredging. This is the expulsion of unwanted toxic substances destroying the sediment environment. And the last one is the mechanical algae removal. So ito yung impact, not removing dead algae in this time in the harmful to environment. So we have the deep aeration. Multiple stations will be chosen to be subjected to aeration. So we have two purpose First one is to improve DO concentration without changing the water layer, thus stimulating transformation of the anaerobic environment into anaerobic environment. And the second one is to enhance the growth environment of bentonic organisms and increase the food supply. So we have the control. So sabi ko nga kanina, we need to control. Deliver numerous benefits. Ito yung mga kanyang benefits. Filtering nutrients, pesticides, and animal waste. Stabilizing eroding banks. Filtering sediment from runoff. And provide shelter, shade, and food for fish and other aquatic organisms. And that is the riparian buffers. So, riparian buffers, that is the buffer zones from the mangrove areas. Yung mga mangrove, nandun lang sila sa gilid ng tubig. Minsan sila yung tumutulong, hindi lang minsan kundi talaga sila yung tumutulong. Needs to continuous long-term management to ensure the benefits. So we have the possible effective strategy, biological methods, uses specific microorganisms, aquatic plants, and aquatic animals to degrade, absorb, and transform lake nutrients. So biological methods, that is the bioremediation, biomanipulation technologies from the ecological engineering. From the ecological engineering naman, we have to enhance coral diversity and or to reverse coral algae phosphates, or to accelerate transplant self-attachment, to accelerate the recovery of calcium carbonate production in the reef and the coral calcification.